Cool. What's up? Is Vic in there?
Yo, I'm here.
Oh,
What's
hey
going on,
Vic.
fellas?
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Apparently, the rest of the devs decided not to show up today.
Huh?
Yeah. I have no attendees. Unless there's another meeting going that they think is the dev meeting.
Crap. Huh? Oh yeah, I got some swag. I got some Edge socks.
Uh-oh.
I got an Edge T-shirt, and more importantly, oh what? Yeah, you gotta you gotta go like tweet something about Edge. Yeah, I got an Edge T-shirt for being sweet, and maybe I should probably be a little more quiet about this. Boom! I got a
What the heck is that?
hardware wallet.
Shut up. That is tight. A ledger?
Huh? I'm gonna unbox it. I was planning on doing a live stream with one of their sales reps a little later, but you want me to do it now? Yeah, I
Is that
think we
a
kind
ledger
of.
or a treasure? A
Huh?
treasure. Is that a
It's a keep
ledger or
key.
a treasure?
Keep key. So we're actually trying to figure out because I don't know if you were on our live on our love chat and how I was like I think treasure ledgers are kind of dumb. Uh, or like they don't really they kind of just are overpriced for what they do. Uh, I think that this may be a better product. I don't know yet, but I'm gonna play with it. So there's that. We're gonna probably do it. We're gonna do an unboxing later today, and I'm gonna set it up with some of the Keep Key team. So that's gonna be fun.
Nice.
So yeah, I got some toys to play with and some swag, and hopefully I'll have some more swag by the end of the day.
Did they give out any tokens?
Actually, okay, so I got like $3 worth of ether.
Nice.
Uh, I mean, it's free, so there's that. And I think Salt talking about they giving out some crypto, right? I think they did. They might have been talking to just a. Huh? Yeah, they got free. Well, they got free keep keys and with Salt in it.
That's kind
I
of
think
tight.
so. Yeah, I should have been like. I should have been like. I should have been like. I'm a new.
Because Jarvis both got our ontology tokens today from the Neo DevCon.
Oh.
Yeah, they gave us 500 each. It was like $800.
What?
Yeah, man.
Oh man, that's crazy. I wish I would have went there too.
That's why I'm telling you to kind of push for them tokens.
It's like my investment portfolio is just from freebies from conferences. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would really be cost beneficial for your flights. If you could like make that a tax write-off that I'm going to conferences to get, that's my business model is to fly to conferences and get free crypto.
Right.
That'd be awesome. All right, so what's up, y'all? Who we got on? We got Lynn, we got Terrence, Justin, me, and Charles. And who else? I guess I'm hoping that we got some. Laura looks like I think she's on. Hey, Laura. And let's see what's popping in Facebook. Yeah. So yeah, guys. So yeah, we're gonna do a lot of talking about the Keep Key, and I think we're gonna do a demo. Like I said, we're gonna do a demo later, and we might probably send it some love on Tuesday. I think we're gonna do something on Tuesday with love. I think so. I think I was talking to I think we're scheduling it for Tuesday. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong, but I think it's Tuesday. But so I might bring the hardware wallet. I'll probably bring the hardware wallet in and probably play with the love and send it some love. So yeah, it's ERC20 compliant. So yeah. So yeah, so we're out here having a blast and just nerding out with I told Len I found my people. So yeah, all right. Well, I guess let's get started with the meeting. First things first, I guess my agenda is I guess we kind of already briefly talked about the work I've done with Matt's blockchain and with token and the work Matt did as well. I mean, well, Matt did the work, so there's that. But I basically peer reviewed it and kind of looked at the code and just saw what it could do, and we kind of bounced ideas off each other earlier. So I don't know if you really want me to rehash that, but I can talk about some of the code stuff like that. I think Charles was interested in doing that. Do y'all have anything else y'all want to talk about before we do that?
Start with that because we're talking tech
Okay, cool. Let me grab my mouse real quick because oh well, screw it. I don't need a mouse. So I'll pull up the code. Um, and I'll share my screen in a second. Hold on. So I mean, and I'm not sure if this is the newest version. I know Matt's done some changes, so there's that. And so I know we've talked about the changes, but I haven't necessarily seen them. Uh, but you should see my screen now, right?
I want you to show me clips.
All right. Len, Len went and grabbed his lunch. I think. What do y'all? What do they got?
I'll grab you back.
Okay. Sorry, y'all. I got distracted just a little with lunch, but I will say okay. Um, so y'all can see the screen, right? Okay, cool. So basically, the way it works is that so this is the most important stuff to my knowledge is I'm not gonna say most important, but there's the biggest part is the core. So this is where all the important stuff is handled. So there's like basically different classes. Well, address class basically handles the address. It's pretty straightforward. The meat of the core is mostly in the block and the blockchain, and I actually like the way he did that. Sweet, sweet. Um, so I kind of like the way he implemented some things in this blockchain, and I guess I'll talk a little bit about that. As far as the code for the newer features, I don't think I have that, so I can't really speak on that per se. But I guess to get to brass tacks, um, basically the address is just a array of bytes that in simple thing it's an array of bytes that you can use to send tokens or receive tokens from somewhere or to we all know how that works. And so the like I said, the meat of the code is in the block and the blockchain. So the meat of the core code. And so the blocks basically consist of a hash, the index, because I don't know how much y'all know about object oriented programming or data structures, but basically it's a tree. So the blockchains are generally trees, and so basically you can use the index to link them to different blocks. And so that's how you know the parent block or the child block of a particular block. Or even if that block has a child, if it's the end of the tree, things like that. Uh, so what it consists of is like the network, which I'm actually kind of trying to understand how networks work a little bit from his perspective. Uh, but what it really seems to do is, and like I don't really want to speak on that yet because I need to dig into that code a little deeper. But the network is important because the way that he's trying to implement this is that each token ideally will have its own private blockchain. So, and from what he said, basically you can prioritize what miner node, what blockchain you want to mine for. Like if we care about love, we would only mine love, or we would prioritize love. But you could literally mine, the main blockchain and actually mine all the other tokens. Is from what I'm getting from him. So you basically, it's a shared network for each token. So it's not like every different token has its own miner network, which could get kind of tedious and kind of would fracture the actual processing power, in my opinion. So there's that. The index, like I said, is just a way to know which one is where. The hash is like identification stuff, and basically it's just a chunk of data that corresponds to your transactions and stuff like that. So and then there's a timestamp, the transaction. So this is another cool thing about Matt's blockchain or token. We're gonna stop calling it Matt's blockchain, huh, Vic? Token. So the cool thing about it is that it will take in a allotted time period. It will take as many transactions as it can fill up on a block. So meaning that like if you get 0 transactions, you still mine the block. You get 100 transactions, you don't need a block for each transaction, right? So so basically what you end up with is a list of different transactions if you look here. And so it's like it's a list of transactions basically. And so that is part of your block, and that's another important part. And then difficulty, so that's like your mining difficulty. So so what it does is basically it just does the transact it finds a list of transactions and then it validates it for the lets the miner validate it, and then you can do like some basic object level comparisons to make sure that your block is valid, and your hash is valid, and the transactions are valid, so that it basically is basic blockchain stuff. Now blockchain Java, the blockchain class, that's actually a pretty large class. Uh, what it does is basically it's a method for managing the different blocks. So back to the what I was talking about the whole data structures thing. This is basically your tree structure class. So for a lack of a better term, so you can do, you can add stuff to the chain. You can look at the previous block. You can get the current difficulty. You can see if the chain is valid, which is important. You can see if your blocks are valid, which was what I was talking about earlier, using the comparators to see, if everything is hunky dory on the block side, and like you're not trying to spoof the network. Uh, and then it actually validates the transaction. So, like I said, there's a list of transactions. So it one by one validates those transactions in the list of that block. So, and obviously that's super important. So, because each one of those is a separate transaction that, I probably only care about one of those at a time. So, there's that. But yeah, so and then there's the reward system, which is pretty interesting. It's like basically the way Matt did it was your reward is a function of the amount of addresses on the network. So I want you to look at this for a little bit. It's actually pretty clever the way he did it. And I don't know if this is already how this has already been implemented, but basically he's doing a logarithmic uh, function of the size of addresses. So basically, like, and I forgot, he said basically like, currently at 1, but like 100 people, it's a logarithmic scale. So like, it's in tens. So like basically 1 million people would get a certain amount of reward. Actually, I mean, I don't really care right now, but we could do calculator and actually find it out. So log, oh, log, let's say 100,000. So 5 tokens if there's 100,000 people on the network per reward, right? So as you can see, the higher the scales up, I think honestly, I think this is a good scalability solution because it incentivizes instead of the more people mining, the less the reward because you're competing against people like with the Bitcoin miners and stuff like that. The more people mining on this blockchain, the higher the reward. So let's say log 1,000,000. That's probably like 6 tokens. Let's see. Yeah, 6. So it's a logarithmic scale. So like I said, it's in tens and hundreds and stuff. So anyway, uh, nerdy math aside, um, basically that's how the reward system works, and I think that's a pretty good idea. Uh, because like I said, it incentivizes more people to mine. So that gives you a more robust, powerful, and faster network. So there's that. Um, so yeah, so process transactions. So basically, uh, you process the transactions, and some of them are reward transactions, meaning they go to you as a miner. Some of them are going out. Some of them are incoming transactions. So meaning like the out ones would be sending tokens to other people. you know, the incoming would more likely be getting tokens from other people or, stuff like that. And then there's a separate transaction just for mining rewards is what I think. Yeah, consume, generate, reward. So, and basically, so like I think that on its own is pretty cool. Uh, and then like you can do different stuff. So like I was telling you about, basically it's a tree structure. So I mean, for those, I don't want to, you know, bore y'all with those kind of details, but basically, it's a very good way of traversing data in a efficient and quick manner. So there's that, and general consensus is most blockchains are trees. So it would kind of get dumb if you just use one link list, because that means like that's a scalability nightmare waiting to happen. Because you have to traverse the whole tree to get to, I mean, the whole linked list. And I mean, different data structures have their different benefits, and so I'm not going to say that, but trees are really good for parse speed. So there's that. And I think we all care more about speed of data transactions more than like, different cool stuff you can do with data structures. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So there's that. So I guess partial chain is like kind of like to just look at one section of the chain. So I don't know if you've ever started like an Ethereum node. You don't necessarily have to download the whole blockchain, right? Because I mean, especially it's less secure and it's easier to spoof if you're like trying to validate something based on like half of a blockchain. But like, I'm assuming what that's for. I may be wrong, but I don't know. And local block is actually like, so this is like, I guess like a storage hole, a storage jar for your current block before you push it to the blockchain, because obviously you don't want to do operations on your blockchain. You want to do operations on the block and then send it to the blockchain, right? That makes sense. uh and so basically that's what that's for in a nutshell. So the cooler thing is the token class. So I'm actually like, I've been talking to Matt to try to really hash out what the token class really is supposed to do, because my first, excuse me, oh, I don't like that. It was a passion fruit tea. I tried something new. I'm gonna go give it back to my Earl Grey. Um, it's actually not bad, but I'm sorry, y'all. So basically, um, basically, like, the token is basically that is the token. So my original thought was that was that basically to make a token, I would extend that class. And it's getting a little noisy in here because everybody's breaking for lunch. So, but anyway, uh, that's the purpose. That's what I think its purpose should be. Is that, well, but basically, so Matt had a different take on it, and I like his idea a lot, actually. I don't necessarily I haven't seen how it was implemented, but basically, like I said, my original thought was that you extend this class to make your own token. I'm not sure if that's still how that works, but basically what he's saying is that, and let's go to the network. I haven't actually looked at this code. Let's see. Or I briefly looked at it. And like I said, he said he updated this. So yeah, so this is about, so what he was saying basically is that what you would do is parameterize this in the network, and you would parameterize your new token, and then you would set the contract into the Genesis node, which I don't know if y'all really know much about mining or anything, but the Genesis node is just basically a name for the first node in your blockchain. So I guess the data would be there that would contain your contract, and if you want to validate anything from the contract, you already know that the Genesis node is index 0. So you would just go to 0 and read that data and like compare it to what you're trying to send and see if it, and that way you would see if it was correct or not. So I need to do more research into that and how Matt's implementing that. So before I like say something that's totally incorrect, and I may have already done that. Uh, but in a nutshell, basically, you're supposed to be able to basically include the network in your contract, and I mean you're supposed to be able to include your contract and your token in the network, and the contract will be on the Genesis node, so that you basically always know where your contract is. And I think that's a cool idea. We can try it and play around with it. And as far as like, you know, as far as like sending stuff around, that's really where we really care. A lot of the work's already been done per se from Matt's end. I know he's still got some stuff he's working on, but uh, that's like the main components. I think the most important stuff is like the token for us because we're building a token on his platform. Uh, so yeah, so I mean, yeah, so that's pretty much where we're at right now. Like I went through the core, and if y'all want me to go through more of the core a little bit, I can do that. But basically, there's transaction classes that basically the transaction consists of TX ins and TX outs, which basically is input and output transactions. Uh, and then those have their own class that basically handle that. So, like I was saying, the hash contains the information about the transactions. But yeah, so I mean, your whole hash basically becomes the timestamp, the input and output, and that's important because the timestamp is important because you don't want, let's say like your block, like you have block 1, I am on block 2, right? And block 2 has a timestamp that's earlier than block 1. Well, that doesn't make sense because block 2 in theory should have been generated after block 1. So that's probably I'm not going to say a hacking attempt, but that's not legitimate data. At the very least, it's not good data. So we want to ignore crappy data, and that's the point. Is that if the timestamp is out of line and it's like, or it's out of sequence, obviously that's not the right chain in the sequence. I mean, that's not the right block for the next step in the chain. So we can know that, hey, something's wrong with this block or something's wrong with the blockchain. We need to check that out. And honestly, it's pretty much a self-cleaning mechanism because that's the only, like, that's how that works. So it's like basically, and let me see if I can find that code. Uh, if I can find that code, I can't remember exactly where it was, but basically, it's like if the times don't line up, like basically, it's crap. So I'm trying. I don't remember where that was, honestly. So let me look around real quick. Uh, I want to say it's in. It should be here, or it's in valid transaction or valid block. I think maybe let's look back on the blockchain thing. Partial find branch handled chain adjusted difficulty process. Huh? Yeah. So like this is valid transaction. So basically, I think this is where it was. Uh, I'm also having some ocular issues right now. So uh, I lost my one of my contacts, so I can only see out of one eye. um, so if I'm like squinting in one eye, uh, that's why. Because I literally can only see out of one eye right now. It's driving me crazy. So let's see. Yeah, I can't find it, but basic. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there we go. If block get timestamp is less than previous timestamp minus valid drift, which I'm assuming. I think that's like 7,200 microseconds or something like that. Milliseconds, microseconds. I can't remember. But basically, if the timestamp is less than the previous block timestamp minus a little bit of a tolerance that he allowed. I'm assuming that's not just a number he made up. I'm assuming he probably had errors, and he was like, okay, if I wait 72 milliseconds, then I won't have that problem because it is network transactions. So, you still got to wait for the confirmations and stuff to come back, and that takes time. So I'm sure he didn't just pull that number out of nowhere. But basically, or the timestamp is greater than now. So basically, what he's saying is that the new block shouldn't be from the past or the future. Meaning, like if it's an old block, if it's older than the previous block, obviously that's bad. But if it's not, like if it's like I made the block from like 2 hours from now, and you try to validate it, obviously that's not good data either. And that was obviously uh I don't want to keep saying maliciously created because I'm a alarmist when it comes to security, but like uh I would say at least that oh crap, my battery is going low. Uh I would say at least very least that it was incorrect data or it's poorly created. So that's our main goal with that is to like make sure that everything's legit. So is there a plug right? Oh. All right. So hold on 1 second, y'all. Let me plug my laptop in.
You gotta get up.
Yeah.
Behind
All right. Hold on 1 second. Uh, see, I got the most powerful laptop in the world, but I have the shortest battery because it's got like a badass. Yeah, I got a badass GPU, and it just drains my life. Like I get 2 hours tops.
you don't have to stop with that.
Yeah. All right. Sweet. Thanks, y'all. So yeah, man. Thank you. So yeah. Uh, so basically, yeah, there's that, and so there's a lot of validation involved, and a lot of stuff like that. And so I mean, it's not as glamorous. That's like the grunt work, but you know, it's important. And so anyway, yeah, so that's pretty much in a nutshell, like the most basic functionality and how it works in a nutshell, and especially as it relates to what I'm doing. I'm probably gonna find some more stuff later when I actually go a little deeper into the code, but but in a nutshell, that's kind of what I got from it and what it should do and what it does, and like some of the other features that were promised and that we talked about. So if y'all have any questions or anything, feel free to ask. Anybody? So well, I guess I'll say uh, let me see if anybody in the Facebook group is asking questions real quick. But basically, yeah, like that's pretty much what it does. It's a blockchain, duh, but it does it has a couple of features that I think are actually pretty interesting and kind of novel, like especially like the whole private blockchain per token thing. And obviously, I'm the biggest fan ever of the free no transaction fee thing. That's like the two biggest draws for me to this blockchain, and the fact that you know I know the code pretty much. I'm gonna probably know it a lot better over the coming weeks and stuff, and so we have the power to customize stuff to our liking and our needs. And obviously we agree upon it between Matt, and it'd be some sort of utilitarian process that helps everybody, because I know he wants to use it for his purposes with his traceability token, and we're trying to use it with Love and possibly Jarvis. But you know that's how it works, and so I think those are the three biggest benefits, is that a you can do that, you can customize it, you can change the code, you have the two people who are like you have Matt. I have access to Matt, so I can ask him questions and bug him frequently. uh, and like, so we can influence the development of this blockchain so that it works for us, and it helps our purposes very well, versus like if we wanted to customize Neo, that either may never happen, or it would take forever, and we might have to pay them. We'll probably have to pay them.
Edge.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I don't even talk about that. I got Ed swag, so let's just leave it at that. They gave me a T-shirt. Those guys are cool. uh, but yeah, I think so. I mean, people need compensation for their work, so there's that. But I think that I guess the beauty and the draw to it for me is that those three aspects are very important. Is that it's close to home. It's and I just like some of the choices he's made, actually. Like, as far as like I said, the separate blockchain things are cool, and just so we're probably gonna tinker a bit and like do more cool stuff with it. But like, oh crap,
You lost Mike, huh?
disappeared.
Yeah, it looks like you did.
All right, hold on. Okay, yeah,
Just put your phones up.
all right,
We should probably wrap up soon.
yeah, all right. Hey y'all.
Real life, folks.
Yeah, so yeah, but even though we plugged in, apparently they're probably either it wasn't plugged in all the way or something, but basically my laptop died. So I just switched over to Charles's computer real quick. But basically, like I said, so there are those are the biggest draws for me to using this technology. And also, I just like to roll up my sleeves and play with new code. So there's that. But you know, I mean, it's definitely worth a look and a tryout. And I definitely want to see how this thing's gonna stand up for, like, an extended period of time. And Oh yeah. Also, yeah, we were talking to Matt, and Matt. So we kind of came up with the idea of if people want to establish mining nodes for this blockchain, um, especially as an early adopter, it is the best time to do it because it's getting in first. And so, like for example, like I know a bunch of people who were in mining Bitcoin early on, and they were using very limited resources to make like half a Bitcoin a day. So, and now that's like unthinkable. Like you would make half a Bitcoin a day with like a very powerful machine. So there's that. So the early adopters will have access to more of these coins, and have a great opportunity to mine a bunch with little overhead. Because like, so I'm gonna stand up a mining node on one of my junk laptops. I have a bunch of laptops that, you know, they work, but I don't use them anymore. They're either obsolete, something broke on them. I just got tired of it. I got a better graphic card, stuff like that. So, or I fixed a bunch of people's laptops and like they never came back to get them or whatever. So, and then I have like a dev machine that's just an old crappy Linux box that I could really push up a miner. So my point is that you don't really need much resources. Like if you have a computer that you don't really use that much, like an old Acer or whatever desktop or laptop that you were thinking about throwing away, you can hold those up as a mining node now, especially while the difficulty is low, and you can mine a bunch of these coins with the hopes that it will appreciate. Um, and so there's that. So, and also, I mean, so for now, obviously we're doing testing, so it will be test nodes, but basically it's going to be the same thing once it goes live. Is that we're going to need miners to hold up the system, and we could put some into architecture and stuff like that, but to be truly decentralized, it still needs a bunch of other people as nodes to really do this work. And also, like I said, it's just a good opportunity because you can get in cheaply. So before all the guys invent ASICs for this stuff and like make this impossible for y'all to mine it, you'll either, I guess the idea is that you'll either get out the market with a nice profit, get out of the mining sphere with a nice profit, or B, liquidate those profits to build better mining equipment. Either way, that's your prerogative, but I think that that's a good opportunity to get in on the ground floor of a brand new blockchain, especially if we're gonna market it for a larger scale project. So, yeah, uh, that's what I'm thinking about right now. So there's definitely different aspects and different ways for people to get involved with the project. As far as like, even if like some of the people out there want to use like some of their low powered computers for mining nodes, you're basically using a computer you were going to throw away anyway or give to your kid. Sorry, kid. But you can use that to mine now. So anyway, that's a good thought. Keep that in mind, everybody. And I don't know. I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say for today. So if anybody else has anything to say, that'd be awesome. But I'm kind of eyeballing my sandwich now. So, anybody?
So I just have a question. We're pretty much still open on the platform, which we're gonna launch the Jarvis token. Are we gonna do some kind of trade study?
Terrence saying something because I can't hear him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you hear Terrence? Oh,
yeah,
maybe he's on mute.
We can hear Terrence.
Oh yeah, he's on mute. Sorry, Terrence.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Oh, hold up. Oh, y'all have been hearing me talk in the background for a while, probably. What's going on?
Mike, it's your machine because we can hear Terrence fine.
Yeah.
Oh, we're still gone? Oh, sorry, did you lose the screen or?
No, I'm I think the live is up, so I'm hearing feedback.
Oh, is it over or
Oh no, I don't. Never mind.
did you kill the meeting or? You kill the meeting, the live will end. Oh.
Sorry, y'all.
Oh. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff going on. We're live.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. So I was just a question about the different platforms that we're looking at. Have we decided on using Matt's blockchain and working with that, or is it still a potential we would use Neo or Stellar or some other platform? Or are we going to do a trade study to kind of figure it out?
No, that's official. So that's happening. Matt's blockchain, it is.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Terrence, you missed out on the call we had last week. I tried to get a hold of you, and unfortunately you missed it. Justin was there, so was Laura, so was I.
Okay.
Yeah, we're definitely moving on this token blockchain. It's a done deal. We actually already have it set in the Scrummage application as far as requirements and the sprint and how long it's going to run. In fact, it's actually going to start Tuesday. And once that's completed, we'll move into the next sprint, which will cover the mining of the tokens that Mike was just talking about. We'll have to set up nodes. Matt already has some nodes and dev or on standby. In fact, we might see some overlap or or crashing of resources, crashing of resources because we're going to be running those simultaneously. It's not crashing of resources. I forget the term, but yeah, we're on schedule. We're looking good. We're going to actually start Tuesday. We got everything nailed down. What the test is going to be after the fact, and you and I will definitely touch base after this call, so I can fill you in.
All right, thanks, appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. You hear me? Sorry, y'all. We had like some weird loop going on. So Terrence, I guess Terrence's first question was something about are we going towards Matt's blockchain versus Neo, Lumens, and stuff for the Jarvis ICO? Is that the question?
That's undetermined.
Yeah, we just kind of covered that already, Mike, while you were.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was in like some weird trip thing going on because I could.
Now, one thing to know, it still may make sense to launch off the Neo. Like if you look at how Civic did it, Civic launched off of Ethereum, and then they're moving to their own.
Yeah.
After the fact, there are other strategic benefits from a marketing.
Yeah.
Thing.
And that's always possible because you have access to all the data. So I don't necessarily I'll have access to addresses and not necessarily keys, but I'll have access to addresses, balances, and things like that. And so I think we could relatively easily port all that into a new, for lack of a better term, database. It's not really a database; it's just a chain of addresses, with all their information associated with it, and that's all basically backed into blockchain. So we could seed that into.
We could also run it off too. We could probably just it's just running into databases.
Yeah. Or I don't know. So yeah, we'd have to explore different approaches, but no, we're still not sold on any platform particularly.
Keep on the other thing too. White paper ICO and actual implementation. Those are totally different worlds, right?
Yeah.
So we're probably not going to be implementing anything.
So yeah, even honestly,
6 months.
Yeah, even honestly, what most ICOs, they don't have a finished product. So note that. So what they do is they make a smart contract for an ICO, basically a token sale contract, and they basically So I did some with similar things, and they don't give you a token until they're ready. You buy in, you get.
Well, Neo's just getting up.
Yeah, you buy in, and then you get some sort of response, and you just hope they're going to give you your token in a certain amount of time. So that's the thing. So behind the scenes, they have a smart contract up, but they don't necessarily have their token up. So they have a smart contract up. You send them Ether or whatever, and basically we record that you sent me 2 Ether, and then I send you that, and I'll say that, one turkey token is worth 0.001 ether, and I send you those amount of tokens based on that at a later date when I'm ready. That doesn't necessarily, that's what I'm saying. So, yeah, we're not so set in stone, and I think that, there, like I said, we're exploring the possibilities, and Matt and I were talking about, like, pros and cons of different blockchains, and hopefully we can address all the cons and, like, address all the cons and limit adding new cons and have more pros and cons, obviously, is our goal, and hopefully zero cons. I don't know how likely that is to happen, but, like, we have control over what happens. So there's that. So that's why I'm liking the token chain right now. But weeks ago for me it was Stellar. So, and then it was Neo. So I mean, we're not sold on any platform per se. We want to explore the possibilities still.
The other thing too, there's technical and there's business side.
Yeah.
Things, right? So for example, launching on a Neo blockchain gets you access to everyone who has Neo, because what happens, like the blockchain that launched on Stellar, they did so well because Stellar had never had a blockchain ICO, so everyone who had Stellar just threw some, you know what I mean? So you get like the hundreds of thousands of people out there that have Stellar.
Yeah.
So launching on Neo gets you to access all the people that have Neo. They'll say, okay, I'll throw 2 Neo in here. So like there are those sorts of business strategic things.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm starting to chow down, guys. But yeah, so basically in a nutshell, I think those are the kind of ideas that I think, some of the strategy guys might want to look into, like the different pros and cons of like different blockchains. I mean, as a developer, I can help with that and involve myself in the strategy, obviously. But I think that, as far as a business standpoint, like Charles made a great point. There's technology and there's business. So I can make the coolest shit ever, but is it gonna sell, right? So there's that. So it's like, so there's marketing. There's actually a lot more marketing involved in development of products than I originally understood, and I'll say that openly. But and so I mean. So there's like I said, there's two aspects to this. Like I could say this is the best, fastest blockchain, but if it's unproven and nobody's going to pay for it or put into the network or mine it or anything, like then it's going to fall on its face, and then who cares how cool the code is at that point, right?
You guys okay with those secondhand Denver munchies? I know how they roll in Colorado, so I was just asking.
Hey, I'm keeping it clean over here, bro. We gotta keep it PG. No, I got regular chips here. This is no additives.
No, I was talking about, you get that secondhand smoke effect and then probably get the munchies.
Oh, actually, nobody. I haven't seen anybody smoking or vaping here. I'm pretty sure they can't do that.
You do it indoors.
You can't do it indoors.
Yeah,
That's the Weston too.
Yeah, and it's the Westin, so it's not like Ratchet Motel 6 or something like. Like this is a pretty nice place. So let's keep it nice and keep the riff raff out. Nah, but seriously, yeah, we're chilling. But I have just regular munchies because I'm hungry, and so, but yeah. So, if anybody has any other questions, I see some stuff in the chat. Let's see what the chat's saying. But nobody has any other questions. I'm gonna go eat lunch.
I would say even with all these questions,
Yeah. So yeah, basically, yeah. If I don't have answers, I'll find answers. That's pretty much what I do. 90% of the time, I don't have answers, and I go find them. So that's kind of why I like what I do, because these questions haven't been answered yet, and I like I like exploring unanswered questions. So there's that. So yeah, like I said, yeah. I mean, thank y'all for coming out. I'm getting kind of hungry, so I'm gonna go eat. But and I'm watching Charles eat his sandwich in front of me, and it's torture. So and Len already ate, so let me go do my thing. Thank y'all for coming out, and y'all can chat me if y'all got any more questions. And so peace out, y'all.
Yeah, go eat, man.
All right.
Wait, you want me to close it?
Yeah, I just ended it.